Welcome back, everyone, to the Week 16 edition of Fireside Football. I'm Kendall Capps.
And I'm Andrew Williams.
Well, Andrew, here we are. It's Week 16 coming down the stretch. Only a couple weeks left.
Yeah, you got finally getting these playoff positioning in order, seeing who's in, who's out. The last couple slots are still up for grabs.
Well, and with Week 17 being all divisional games, this is the last chance teams get to beat other teams that aren't in their division for those wild card spots. So it's pretty interesting.
Well, and then you still have some teams who have 2 divisional games remaining, so there's still a lot of positioning that could be altered in these last couple weeks.
All right, well, how about we start off with the New York Jets coming off a big win at Pittsburgh, a place they don't typically do well. Now they're going on the road to Chicago. What do you think?
Well, I like Chicago here. I like both of these teams are playing well, but the Bears wrapped up their division last week. They still have a lot to play for, going for the number 2 seed that they have the inside track on right now. And I think at home, that Chicago rush is going to shut down what the Jets like to do most, which is run the ball. And they're going to take it to them, especially through the air with Jay Cutler. I think that Chicago takes it.
You know, it should be a good ball game. 2 evenly matched teams, same records. Both teams do really well against the run, so now their team should be able to run the ball very well in this game. But the Jets, they're starting to get that confidence back after last week. And to me, the difference could be special teams. Both these teams, we know what Devin Hester can do with Chicago. Brad Smith for the Jets had a great year returning kicks as well, and I think that might be a difference. Now they talk about Sanchez, he's hurt his shoulder, and he's going to play. He said that he's been pressing all week, but you don't really know what you're going to get from him. I think they're going to find a way to get points on the board. It's going to be a low-scoring, tight affair, but I think the Jets win another one on the road to go to 7-1 on the road.
All right, well, let's head over to a big NFC West matchup between the San Francisco 49ers and the St. Louis Rams. What do you see going on here?
You know, this is an ugly game. It's amazing that we're in Week 16 and we're talking about a team that's 5-9 and 1 game out of first place.
Yeah, and it really has a chance at running it here.
And winning the division. It's pathetic, to be honest. But here, I think you have to like St. Louis. They're a better team on both sides of the ball. They're going to run the ball. Steven Jackson, he doesn't have a lot of yards per carry, but he ultimately, at the end of the game, he gets the yards. And they're going to find a way. They're not going to lose to San Fran. They've had lots of chances to be able to finally make a move when they got their chance, and they keep on blowing it, and they're not going to do it here either.
Well, and I agree. I think San Fran's played well in the division, but I think on the road in St. Louis, we don't know which quarterback's starting. Troy Smith, Alex Smith, they can't decide. Flip-flop back and forth. I think that's a bad sign. I think Sam Bradford's going to get some work done, and St. Louis will take this one.
Yeah, I think so. All right, how about a really intriguing matchup? You wouldn't have thought so maybe at the beginning of the season. But you have Indianapolis, 8-6, tied for first place, going on the road to Oakland, a team that really needs this and for the first time actually has a shot of making the playoffs going late into the season.
Well, and I like the way Indy played last week. They held the run a lot better. Maurice Jones-Drew didn't go off on them. But this week they're playing Oakland, the second best rushing team in the league. I think they're going to give up their fair share on the ground, but I think the Colts offense is going to score more than the Raiders offense can. I think the Colts pull this out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on all fronts for the most part. Oakland, they are going to run the ball well. Like I talked about last week, Indianapolis, every once in a while, they show up at home and stop the run. They're not going to do that on the road this week. Oakland will be able to run the ball, but they're not going to be able to score enough points. They're 5th in the NFL against the pass. However, they've given up the 3rd most touchdown passes through the air. So they don't give up a lot of yards, but when teams get down there, they let them score through the air. In Indianapolis, that's what they're going to do. They're going to score through the air, and Oakland's not going to be able to catch up to get the game.
Well, let's head over to the NFC to a big matchup with 2 teams struggling to fight for playoff contention here. You've got the Seahawks from Seattle heading in to play the Bucs in Tampa Bay. What do you think goes on here?
Well, Seattle's a mess right now. They're horrible at home. They're horrible on the road. They're the other team with St. Louis and San Fran. They're trying to maybe be the first team ever to have a losing record and make the playoffs. They don't even know who's going to start this week. Hasselbeck got benched in place of Whitehurst, who didn't do much coming in for him. It was a tough spot against Atlanta, but now they're one of producing, and they can't run the ball. So despite the fact that Tampa Bay gives up a lot of yards on the ground, Seattle's not going to be able to expose that. Tampa Bay at home is going to win this game.
Yeah, I agree. I like Tampa Bay here. I really like what Raheem Morris is doing, and I like the way this team plays, especially in the 4th quarter. I don't see him losing this game. I think this really should be a playoff caliber Tampa Bay team. Unfortunately, I don't know that they're going to get in the final picture, but I do think they take it in Seattle this week.
Yeah. All right, well, there's another really key game. The Giants coming off that unbelievably difficult loss that they took last week at the hands of Philadelphia and Michael Vick. And now they have to go on the road to Green Bay, a team that they're 1 game ahead of in the wild card spot. But if they lose this, they don't control their own destiny. What do you think?
Well, I tell you what, I think the Giants win here. I think they lock up that playoff spot because I think they can run the ball all over Green Bay. Green Bay's struggles against the run. The Giants with that two-headed monster really coming together. And then when they get down in the red zone, Eli throws the ball well. He's been hitting touchdowns, really having a very good season this year in New York. I think the Giants win here and they lock up that last spot.
You know, I think it's going to be really difficult for them to overcome that loss. And on the other side, I think Green Bay has a lot to take out of their loss last week against New England, when no one picked them, no one gave them a shot, except for myself on the show, and they went in, they played a great game, and now they have Aaron Rodgers, who's practiced all week. He's going to come back. The Giants, my gut says that they're going to hang around. It's going to be a great game, but that's a lot to overcome. You're right, Green Bay, they've surprisingly struggled against the run this year, but they don't give up a lot of rushing touchdowns. They always stand up inside the 20. I think they're going to do that again this week, and they're going to find a way at home to win this and possibly make the playoffs.
Well, let's wrap up with one more a matchup over here. New Orleans playing Atlanta, a matchup that looked a little bigger before New Orleans dropped that game to Baltimore last week. But you still have a chance for New Orleans to make a run here at the division. Do you think they can pull out a surprise win against an Atlanta team that's really good at home?
It's really tough. Matty Ice, he's 20-1 now, a career at home. He's difficult to beat in that building. They already beat New Orleans earlier this season. It was a tight game then. This is going to be nothing different. You have one key difference. Atlanta plus 13 in turnover ratio this year. They don't turn the ball over and they get turnovers. New Orleans, they're -5. Breeze, for all the yards he throws, he turns the ball over, especially on the road. And I think it might happen again this week. And I actually like Atlanta to finish out the division.
I'm going to take New Orleans in kind of an upset pick. I know it's not a huge upset, but I think Atlanta may be overlooking this. They pretty much locked up the division when New Orleans lost last week, and they don't necessarily need to win this game. And I think New Orleans is going to come in and fight harder. And after that first game was so even, I think this one falls New Orleans' way. I think they'll pull the semi-upset down in Atlanta.
Well, we shall see. It should be a great weekend of games. We hope to see you here back again next week for the regular season finale, and we'll update all the standings. You got a few games to make up, and the Fireside Rooster certainly has plenty to make up. We'll see if that happens, and hope you enjoyed the show.